Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it has been a very long time since you've seen my face in front of the camera, and all I can say is I'm sorry. 2015 was a very roller coaster of a year for me. I had a lot of growing pains in that year that I had not anticipated. I mean, you really don't expect that kind of stuff to happen when it does, but when it does hit you, you're like, how didn't I see it coming? And then 2016 kind of has been a little bit up and down for me as well. So I wanted to make this video and kind of update you guys on how my life is going right now, where I've kind of been, what I've been through recently, and then kind of where I want to go from here. So, like I said, 2015 was very rough on me. I went through, my parents got divorced and my mom got remarried. A good friend of mine ran away with a guy that was very abusive to her, and for a while we didn't even know if she was still alive. I dug my family and I into a very deep hole of debt because I was depressed about things. It just was really rough. I turned 30 years old, which I was so excited about, but it turned out to be a disaster, just because friends and family didn't really understand how important it was to me, even though I thought I had made it quite clear, but I guess I hadn't. And it ended on a note where I wasn't sure where I was going in life anymore. I wasn't sure who I wanted in my life. I wasn't sure where I wanted to be, where I wanted to work. I wasn't sure who I was anymore. Towards the beginning of February, of this year, it kind of came to a head, and I had to make a choice. And I believe I made the right one. I decided to start working on my marriage more. My husband and I had kind of been a little strained over the last year because of everything I've been dealing with. So he and I made a pact to really work harder on each other and grow closer together. That has been the saving grace for me for this year. My husband is such my rock. He is so amazing. And there's a book I'm reading, and she says that her husband is the rock to her being a balloon. He keeps her grounded, and he keeps her sane and level-headed, and my husband really is that for me. And so without him, I don't think I'd be here at this moment to make this video for you guys. So 2016 has been up and down for me as well. I left my full-time job that I had last time we spoke, and I still work part-time at a game store, a video game store, and then I still work at my church. I actually was promoted at my church this year, and I am now the early childhood coordinator. So the things that have kind of happened for me this year is that my husband got a new position where he works day shifts at his job, which is fantastic. He can be at home at night with us now as a family, and that has been such a big blessing as well. I did get a new position at my church, which has been great. But the focus that the Lord has really put on my heart for this year was to kind of find who I am again and to go back to my roots. And I feel like what I have done over the last year and a half, and probably even longer if I'm being honest, probably easily the last 5 to 6 years, is I've kind of just adapted to whatever group of people I was hanging out with, to whatever situation I was in, to wherever I worked, whatever it was that I was immersed in at the time. That's what I became. And so I wasn't always 100% me. I was me plus whatever I was being for the other people or the other place. And that includes church. The first couple years I was there, I tried so hard to fit in with just certain groups of people who I felt like had a lot of influence, or, had a lot of money. I thought maybe I could learn from them and, do better. Just things like that. And granted, I met some of my very best friends from church, but it wasn't for the right reasons in the beginning why I was there. So this year, he's kind of forced me in a loving way to reevaluate who I am. And so I've been doing that. I've been really drawing into myself and trying to pinpoint what it is I feel like I need to do to get back to who I am. I started reading again more. I love to read, and I've read a lot this year. I've started writing again, which is a passion of mine. I've done 2 public speaking events this year, which were fantastic, and I loved them. I got to talk about my ministry passion and then give my testimony, plus what the Lord has really placed in my heart this year at a mom group, and it was amazing. And those moments are when I feel the most at peace. And recently, He has shown me again that I need to trust in my heart and what I'm feeling and what He's putting in the Holy Spirit to fill me with. And so, long story short, a lot of rambling later, this is kind of what's going on with me right now. After much prayer and much deliberation and much discussing it with my husband, I'm stepping away from my ministry position. Now, this was not an easy decision to make at all. It actually was probably one of the hardest I've ever made, because now looking back at it, I'm not gonna lie, I'm worried that it's gonna affect some of my relationships at the church with friends, and I know that it's gonna affect my life in many ways. I've been doing this for 2.5 years, and it's something that I do love. However, I have allowed my ministry job to become just that, become a job. I no longer do it with love. I no longer do it with passion. I no longer do it with God, like, in the forefront. I do it because it's a paycheck, and that was never ever the intention of why I took this job. And so what I need to do, I should backtrack for a second. What I allowed to happen over the last 1.5 years is I've allowed myself to really get out of the practice of being close to God. I've really kind of put boundaries up and walls up and just stopped pursuing Him. I stopped being in the Word. I stopped listening to praise and worship music. I stopped reading my devotional. I stopped technically being in church because I was always doing my job at the other area of the church. So I wasn't really in service, and I wasn't being fed. And you can't feed people and minister to people if you yourself are not being fed. So a few times this year, twice that I know of, but probably more if I think really hard about it, I've prayed for Him to take barriers away, to break my barriers down, to take any distraction, any obstacle that would be in the way of Him and I repairing our relationship, and just take it away. Just take it away so that I can get back on track with my life, with my relationship with the Lord, with my life as a mom, as a wife, as a homemaker, as a friend, and just as me. And God is so faithful, you guys. Like, He is so good to us because He has done just that, and He's still working with me. He has brought me friends who tell me the truth, like the hard truth, and don't sugarcoat it, even when I want them to. He has reminded me why I do what I do. He has reminded me how much I love my kids, how much my husband means to me, and just how good my life is, and how He has brought that to me, and how all of this is because of Him. And I have no part in any of this. None of this is because of what I've done or because of what I've achieved. It's all because of Him. And He's reminded me of that. But He's also reminded me that I've made some poor choices over the last 1.5 years, and that I've really fallen away from Him when I should be pulling closer to Him. And that when I get in those moments where I'm so anxious and I'm so upset or I'm so depressed or I'm so worried, to just give it to Him and just lift it up and to just be done with it. So the plans for going forward for me in life are that I'm done at my ministry job as of January 1st. I'm going to take a short break from serving just for a little while. I can't stay away too long because I do love it, but I'm taking a short break so that I can get back into the routine I need to be in to be sound mind and to be there to do what I love. I need to be reconnected with God. I need to really get on that train of thought again. And I need to get my family back in the habit of that, because with me working so much, my kids were often missing church because it was just easier to leave them home. They aren't coming to Wednesday night classes because it's easier to leave them home with dad so I could just be at work. And I don't want that. I don't want our relationship with the Lord to be a convenience thing. And I don't want us being at church to be a convenience thing either. This is what we do as a family. I've worked so hard to get us to that point, and for God to show us that it's so important for us to have that. And I don't want that to be ruined because of my laziness or my backslidden ways. So there's that. So the main reason I'm making this video is because I really wanted you guys to know what I've been dealing with over the last year and a half. I made a different video before this one, and it had lots of details in it about my last year and a half, but when I really got to thinking about it, the details don't matter anymore, like at least not to anyone but to me. And so I just want you guys to know that I've dealt with a lot over the last year and a half, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I feel like it's going where it needs to go now. So what does that mean for this channel? YouTube was probably one of the few constants, excuse my dryer, but one of the few constants in my life over the last year and a half. When I needed it, I found friendship. When I needed it, I found community. When I needed it, I found inspiration and motivation. And there were days where I needed motivation just to get out of bed, and I found it on YouTube. There were people who, without knowing me, without ever knowing my name or having a conversation with me, who impacted my life over the last year and a half. And they'll never know that. No matter how much I tell them, or if I were to comment and say that, they'll never understand what they've done for me. And so I just wanted to tell all of them thank you. They'll never see this video, I'm sure, but just thank you to all of them who had such an impact on my life. But more importantly, YouTube has always been something for me that I've loved, that I've enjoyed. And coming up in January, I know that January to April is really a rough time for me, because here in Michigan, it's always dark, it's cold, you can't really be outside, and I get really anxious and very claustrophobic and very just kind of depressed almost in that season. And so I always need something to kind of focus on, put my mind into. And so my first priority will be my relationship with my family and with God. So I'll be continuing to be cultivating those. I'm working on my house, trying to get it ready for winter. But I want to start making videos again on this channel. Before, you never really saw my kids because my kids are older, and so they're at school all day, and that's just when I get to be home and I can film. And if I'm being honest, there was a part of me that thought, why should I have a mommy channel if you're never going to see my kids because they're always at school, and you aren't going to see them much because when they're home I won't be filming any. And so, but then I got to think, you know what? I'm just going to make the videos that I want to make, and I'm going to put them on my channel. And if you guys want to watch them, you'll watch them. And if you don't want to watch them, you won't watch them. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do like I used to. Maybe I'll start doing grocery hauls again. I liked those. And, you know, different organization videos I'm hoping to do. And just things like that. And that's my goal, is to start working towards that more and letting this community, I want to give back to it because it's given so much to me over the last year and a half. I've made some of the coolest friends with people from YouTube, and it's just been amazing. And I love all of you so much. So I know that this video has probably been very rambly and very just all over the place, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on where I've been and where I hope to go from here. I want to thank you for any of you who are friends with me on like Facebook or other social media and have reached out to me over the last year and a half, because your sentiments have not gone unnoticed, and I'm so thankful for all of you. I do look forward to interacting with all of you more. I've been on a kick lately watching cleaning routine videos and organization videos. I think it's because now that I know I'm going to essentially be a stay-at-home mom again come January, I want to do it right. I want to be a good homemaker. I want to be a good housewife, and I want to be a good mom to my kids. And so I'm trying to get into these routines that will allow me to do that for them. We're just going to see where this channel goes from here. I thank you if you've stuck through this 17-minute video and stayed around to the end. I thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you will have grace with me and just, you know, stick around and see what's to come. I'm looking forward to a new year and just fresh starts all around. I am taking things day by day. I no longer am putting too much stock into a date or into a year. I'm just taking everything day by day, and that's kind of how I gotta live my life right now, is I take it one step at a time. And sometimes that's all we gotta do. So, alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to talking to you all very soon. Thank you again for being here and just being you and being amazing. I love all of you so much. And until my next video, I'll see you guys later.